Hey there, I'm Sue. Welcome to Sue Talk. You know, what confuses me most in America? Tipping. Maybe inches and Fahrenheit, but let's stick with tipping. At a bar, you tip. At a coffee shop, maybe. Check your coat at theater, tip. But check your coat at museum, no need. Waiters, tip. Flight attendants, nope. At McDonald's, no tipping. But at Subway, they flip the touchscreen toward you. How generous are you feeling today, stranger? Well, where do I draw the line? And do I tip for takeout? Like, I walk in, they hand me a bag. Am I tipping for that? Maybe it's to thank them for putting that lid on tight. Well, I have a soft heart and I have a soft face. I'm shy. I care too much what people think. And I'm especially scared of making Chinese people look cheap. So, I tipped. But I tipped out of guilt, not out of gratitude. Even tip jars are disappearing. Instead, I'm handed a touchscreen. Right there, front and center, while the staff stares at me and a whole line of people behind me. I had to consciously choose not to tip. Well, I'm literally just buying the food. It feels like I've got a sprinkle of moral discomfort on top of it. And how much should I tip? That's a whole separate headache. 20 years ago, when I came to the US for grad school, 15% to 20% for dining was the norm. But last time I tipped 15%, the server actually came back and asked if something was wrong. Well, these days, anything under 20% seems like an insult. Even the touchscreen gives you those helpful suggestions. 18%, 20%, 25%, 30%, 35%. Half the time, 15% isn't an option anymore. It starts at 18%. Like we have all silently agreed inflation applies to tipping too. Well, thank you for doing the math. But wait, you have calculated based on the after-tax total? What made me more annoyed is, in the receipt, there's already a line saying gratuity added, but right under it, additional tip. Additional tip. Is it a tip sequel? Seriously, how much should I tip? I had furniture delivery the other day. Should I base it on the price of the item, or the distance they have carried it, or just how sweaty they look when they came here? I remember one time we shipped our dog from California to Texas. The transport fee was $400. I paid the driver $50 for tip. My husband later said, too low. I panicked and texted the guy, sorry, I'm new here, cultural misunderstanding, and sent another $50. Yep. Whenever I mess up, I blame culture. But seriously, how much is enough? Where is the ceiling? I want to be polite. I want to be decent. How much is enough to not look like a terrible person? I try to understand the logic behind America's tipping culture. The idea is, if a server gives great service, customers are more likely to come back. But restaurant managers can't monitor every server's performance. So instead of giving raises, they let customers tip directly. That makes sense. It's more efficient, more motivating. And it works. Tips bring feedback. Tips bring rewards. It creates a virtuous cycle. But hold on. By that logic, why don't cashiers, receptionists, and chefs get tips too? They all contribute to the experience. Don't they deserve a little incentives as well? Oh, wait. Maybe that's why restaurants started adding tips to takeout orders. Found a loophole and tried to tip everyone while they are at it. Some say tipping is a sign of a thoughtful society. It shows love, empathy, and generosity. You have probably seen these heartwarming stories.
$1,300.
No.
Yes,
I cannot take that.
yes, you can. Listen, take 300 of it, spread with them, and you keep $1,000. Okay? Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Suddenly, I feel petty for fussing over a couple of extra dollars. But sometimes that warmth turns into pressure, even aggression. Tipping goes rogue. Tipping turns into a shakedown.
I handed you $20. You can't charge me more than what the menu say? So what are you talking about? Bro, I'm not legally required to give you a fucking tip. Get the fuck back! Get back! Get back!
No wonder people joke. The bravest thing you can do in America is dine, not tip, and go back to the same place twice. Honestly, I'm scared of just thinking of it. I still remember 20 years ago, I was a broke international student, saved up and spent $150 on a fancy perm. Had no clue I was supposed to tip. To this day, I feel kind of guilty. Shout out to the hairstylist who didn't chase me out the door. But from the business side, I get it. Why chase tips? Because tips are taxed. If reported tips are less than 8% of sales, the IRS might assume you are underreporting. So the restaurants and staff are often required to report at least 8% in tips. In that sense, maybe Trump's make tips tax-free proposal wasn't so crazy. Sometimes I wonder, what if I opened a restaurant with a big sign out front? No tipping, ever. Would people flood in? At other places, they charge you $100 and expect a $20 tip. Well, me, I will just charge you $110 upfront. No awkward touchscreen. No, would you like to add 25% guilt traps? That $10, I will split with my staff. I will give them a real bonus, not a maybe. Fair for customers, fair for workers, and the best of it, you can chew in peace. Then you look at other countries. Korea, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, much of Europe. No tipping. Still good service. Especially Japan. Now I'm curious, viewers from around the world, does this tipping map match your country? In China, if you give tips, people might get confused. Some will hand it back politely.
收看20元。
不行啊，主任，不行，我们现在孩子爸爸不是这样子。
我当路城管哈，又帮我把戏呢，我说我多付你一点。
那个是出租车司机嘛，不是那样子干。
谢谢啊，谢谢你啊。
不敢去，不敢去。来，去买啥啊
Please.
No.
Please.
I once tried leaving a tip at a little wonton shop. The owner refused it again and again. For a second, I thought, did she think I was saying she needed the money? Like I was somehow looking down on her? Well, if tipping culture is here in America to stay, how do we do it with gratitude? Let's start with the mindset. When you are paying something extra, you naturally become more aware, more respectful. That little cost creates a little moment of appreciation. Without tips, service workers might become indifferent, and customers might become entitled. But when you tip, you are not just rewarding them, you are lifting yourself up too. It's a subtle psychological shift. You tell yourself, hey, I'm a generous person. I value others. And people who value themselves tend to succeed more than people who don't. So yeah, tipping is also tipping yourself. Now, let's talk technique. If you can tip in cash, do it. There's just something deeply satisfying about handing over a crisp bill. Both the giver and the receiver feel it. Be like Trump. He always carried 20s in his pocket. When he tipped, oh, it looked cinematic. Taking a VIP friend to a fancy restaurant? Here's a pro move. Slip a small tip inside the wine menu before ordering. Then casually ask the sommelier, "Got anything you personally recommend?" Boom! Now you are not just a guest, you are in the inner circle. Chances are you will get a killer bottle that's way underpriced, a complimentary dessert or two, and maybe even a refill when no one's looking. Want a number? Tip the value of 2 desserts in this very restaurant. You'll likely get dessert plus a buzz for the price of none. Is it a bribe? Maybe. But hey, they are all calories in the end. We're not tipping for more food. We are tipping for a great time with great friends and a great story to share. Well, after all the tipping chaos, do I still grumble sometimes? Absolutely. Do I also believe in the power of generosity, the quiet joy of being kind, and the strange little magic of a $5 bill? Yes, I really do. It's a moment of human connection, and that, to me, is worth something. Now, I want to hear from you. What's the tipping custom in your country? What is the weirdest tipping situation you've ever had? Drop it in the comments. Thank you for watching. I'm Sue, and this is Sue Talk. Until next time.